It's time to go inside innovation now, brought to you by AT&T. Well, Indiana has a long, very rich heritage when it comes to entrepreneurship and innovation, and we're seeing a lot of that now with innovation, things happening around the state of Indiana. This week, in a special edition of this segment, we are very pleased to go inside one of Indiana's most iconic companies, Eli Lilly and Company, as we go back and look at the roots of this great pharmaceutical giant today. And I'm very pleased to be joined on this week's edition of the show by Colonel Eli Lilly himself, and also wholesaler and businessman Augustus Keifer. And gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Colonel Lilly, I'll start with you. A thumbnail, if you could. Give us a thumbnail description of your business.
Well, simply put, what we do is we make medicine that works, and that can't be said for other manufacturers.
Mm-hmm. As you do that, how about how it all started? This is a very competitive and challenging industry. How did it all start?
Well, I have to give some credit to Mr. Keifer here. He had a hand in this venture, but I can honestly say that the beginning could go all the way back to when I was a 16-year-old man. That's when I started to apprentice at the Good Samaritan Pharmacy in Lafayette, Indiana.
Wow, so you had experiences, and that's one of the things I was very interested in reading some of the background, is you've had a lot of experiences in your life already.
Certainly have.
Yeah. As you look at attributing your early successes, what do you attribute it to?
Well, I've had both successes and failures. Who hasn't? But I would say that perseverance is what's kept me going on. I believe you've got to try and try again.
Yeah. You mentioned Augustus Keifer, and you played, sir, a very key role in the start of this company. Colonel Lilly went to you and asked for a job, but you actually turned him down?
I did. The colonel came looking for a clerk's job, and I had been acquainted with the colonel for many years and knew him to be a superior person as well as a businessman, an excellent chemist, and I felt that he would be happier as well as a better contributor to Indianapolis as a manufacturer on his own. And so with a little bit of prodding, we were able to get him to set up his own laboratory.
Yeah, I'll ask you both this. Colonel Lilly, what were your thoughts? You went asking for a job. You needed a job, right? You had a family
Absolutely,
and
sir.
things. You needed a job, and he said no. What was your initial
Well, I was initially taken aback, of course. I've already known Mr. Keifer. He knew of my work, of course, before, but I mean, let's face it, this country's been in a somewhat of a depression since '73, and I didn't think now was the time to start a new venture. But with some prodding from Mr. Keifer, this past year and a half has worked out very well. Partnerships.
It's interesting that partnerships are very key to Eli Lilly and Company today. Partnerships in your day, very, very important to the success of the business as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. In terms of both wholesale, I know, and retail partnerships, that's been an important part of the success.
Well, wholesalers know that if they deal with my company, they're going to be dealing with a company that was founded on two principles. Mm-hmm. That would be quality and integrity. Mm-hmm. So.
In terms of Mr. Keifer, as you look at the pharmaceutical industry, opportunities for growth. You've been in it a long time. You're very adept and have a lot of experience there. What are the opportunities for growth?
I think as Indianapolis grows, there's certainly room for growth in this industry. I think one of the things the colonel brings is a real scientific method. There are no charlatans or hucksters. We are dealing with science and the pharmaceutical medicines, and as we go forward, I think that becomes more and more important in this industry, and I think will serve us well.
How important is the technical, scientific aspect that you talk about in the industry?
I think it's extremely important, and I think it's come quite a long way since the war and has more room to grow, certainly. But one of the things that's important about Colonel Lilly's product is that it's very predictable. You know exactly what you're getting from the colonel's manufacturing every time. That's important to me as a wholesaler, as well as to my clients that I'm selling to, and ultimately to the public.
Now, these first 18 months have been pretty successful for you. You have had a lot of growth. What do you see in terms of future opportunities for growth?
Well, number one, we need to keep up with the demand. Currently, we've got a small building on Pearl Street, and I only have 3 employees. So moving forward, we'll need a larger space. We're literally busting at the seams as it is. Yeah. Of course, to expand, we'll need more employees. So what I would like to do is to hire a salesperson and I'd like them to start getting outside of the Indiana area and perhaps going on over into Ohio, down into Kentucky, and see what we can come up with there.
Well, I think you've just mentioned it, but you talk about hiring more employees. Is that key? What are the keys to really scaling up your business?
Currently, the employees, as I said, it's the demand over this past year and a half is increasing, and with just myself and 3 employees, just not enough people to handle the volume.
Now, I know your teenage son, Josiah, has been working in the business, right?
That's
Working
correct.
With you. Is there the possibility this could become somewhat of a family affair?
Well, nothing would make me happier. I have to say Josiah's turned into a fine young man. He is showing interest in the business, so I rather like the idea of possibly in the future becoming a family business. So if he shows continued interest, I'll guarantee you this, he'll learn this business from the ground up.
Yeah. Augustus, as you look at the potential of this company, again, with your perspective on the industry, how big could this become?
I'm not sure that there's any limitation. As I said, Indianapolis, as it becomes a more important city here in the West, as time goes forward, certainly the precepts and the science that the Colonel is using, I think, as I said, are the future, and I'd see no limits.
Mm-hmm. Growing the company here in Indianapolis, you've selected Indianapolis to grow. Why Indianapolis?
Well, for personal reasons, my wife's parents live here and they're well established. In addition, I've actually worked in Indianapolis prior to the war and after the war. But from a business standpoint, I mean, this is a fine city. It's grown by leaps and bounds. And I envision sometime in the future this could turn into one of the finest inland cities in the country.
Mr. Keifer, in terms of what you appreciate about Colonel Lilly, you obviously have respect for his business acumen and ability to perform in that standpoint. From a personal standpoint, you must have a comfort level, and that's why you've decided to really support him.
Absolutely. My experience with the Colonel has been that he's a gentleman of integrity in business and outside of it, and that is why I supported his beginning his own business and have asked many of my competitors, wholesale competitors, to become clients of his as well.
Mm-hmm. Ed, we'll wrap up now, but Colonel Lilly, I'll give you the last word. You're very optimistic about where things could go with the company. What will be key, in your view, to making this company a success and growing right here in Indianapolis?
Well, I'd have to say, going back to what I've said before, this company was built on quality and integrity, and I think we need to follow that as a mold, and we will, I assure you. But in addition, I think research is very key. This industry is constantly changing, and I think we need to keep up to trend, do research, and make sure that we're always on the cutting edge of this industry.
All right. So much of this information has absolutely come to fruition, even today, with the focus on research and partnerships and the great company that Eli Lilly has become. Colonel Eli Lilly, Augustus Keifer, thank you both for joining us, and good luck going forward.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.